Well, for the last time this season, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Backmarkers F1 Show Race Recap Podcast. In this episode, we're recapping the 2019 Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, and I'm very pleased that we're bringing this final recap of 2019. Myself, Chris Cato, and Tyler McDonald. Shaker Barty, who's been here for 21 races now. We made it.
Actually, I did make it.
You did it. You were the only one to get all 21.
Have I actually
Yes.
been the only
Yeah.
one? I guess it's my house.
I mean,
It is your house. Yes.
can you pass me that flag? Actually, I think this is just appropriate. That's it on the season
That
for
is.
2019.
we did it, guys. We made it.
I guess I should have done that at the end, but oh well.
Well, we can do it at the end too.
We get the point.
It's upside down.
Oh, is it? There we go. Perfect. So you've been the only one that has made it to all the podcasts this
Damn.
season. It's been this is our 77th episode, but there's been a couple that have been interviews or Q&As type sessions. But anyways, here we are, 21 races down. It's been a long season, all the way up
Longest in
until
history.
December. Yeah,
It's tied with the latest ending date in F1 history.
yeah. I think
Oh,
the
really,
first
eh? Wow.
the first December race since 1963. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's been quite a while to see F1 this late going on into the year, which is not bad. I mean, we don't complain. And we were just talking off air about the content that we have planned for the coming months. So we're not going to be completely quiet for this off season, which is going to be good for you guys. So
We'll get into that content later on, maybe.
Yeah.
I'm just saying
We'll
because
figure out when we say that.
the race wasn't too thrilling.
No.
So I know, Tyler, you said that in our preview that you were hoping for a non-typical, boring Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, but that's
Yeah.
kind of what we got.
It's kind of what we got. I'm really glad. I think the biggest positive I can take out of this race is that the broadcast really focused on the midfield battle the
Yeah.
whole race, and we haven't had that at all really this season when the whole race has been focused on the midfield battle. But this race was really dedicated to figuring out who was, how all the teams were doing, especially the McLaren versus Renault battle is fantastic to watch unfold on TV. So I'm really happy that they let that unfold in front of us instead of watching Lewis Hamilton run away with the victory and go lap after lap of just him cruising around. We got to see some battles on TV.
It was a good choice because obviously it was evident from the first 10 laps or so that it wasn't going to be much of a battle at the front, which was a little bit disappointing because, Max got a decent start and we thought that we were going to kind of get a repeat of Brazil, but it didn't really happen. So, yeah, I mean, the midfield kind of got their shine. A lot of people have been complaining about it for all season long, and it's difficult, right? Obviously, they have to cover and prioritize the top three because they're going for the race win. Obviously, the bigger teams and the sponsors, et cetera, but guys like Carlos Sainz and Sergio Perez and Daniel Ricciardo, these guys are in the midfield that we don't often get to see these overtaking moves. So, yeah, it was nice to see a little bit of a change up there in the last race.
Just going back to how we're talking about, it's only the last December race in, what was it, 1960 something you said?
63?
63,
yeah.
Just you would think because next year is the largest, most races on a calendar year, that we would have maybe even a later ending. But actually, we end in November next year.
Is that so?
Are they starting
Yeah.
earlier?
29th of November, which is interesting. I was trying to figure
Oh,
that
because
side
they're
out.
probably doing more back-to-back races.
A lot of back-to-backs, yeah.
makes
15th
sense.
of March. And we start off with back-to-back, too, which will be
That's
interesting.
exciting.
But, anyways, just a little tidbit there.
So we're almost looking at 2 races per month almost for next year.
Yeah.
Compared to, I think one of the months only had one race. Was it?
Yeah, it would be at least 2 because it's 22 races. They race for, 10 months of the year?
Yeah.
So there would be 1 or 2 months with 3
Yeah.
on average, which would be nice.
That'd be cool.
We're always going to have we'll always have content.
Yeah.
Always stuff going on. That's something everyone wants to see. So we'll see how 22 races work out next year.
Yeah, I think the biggest difference was that with this season was there was less back-to-backs. I believe there's only 5 back-to-backs this year. I mean, remember last year we even had the triple header, which was pretty crazy for not just us. I mean, for us, obviously, it wasn't a big deal to talk about 3 races 3 weeks in a row, but for the teams and logistic perspective, it was a lot.
Well, I mean, September was kind of a long month if you think about it.
It was a very long
4
month.
races in one month. Obviously, they spaced them out to have 2 double headers, but
Yeah.
that one was a long month with a lot of races. So.
Yeah, that's true too, because that was, I believe September was a 5-week month, so
Yeah.
four races in 5 weeks. And yeah, that was kind of like going from Europe and then all the way to Russia and then Japan also at the end of the month. So it's a lot. But yeah, I think next year is going to be interesting to see because
I think there's only 5 back-to-backs next year as well.
really even with the
Summer
22?
break is cut down by a week.
Okay, so that's probably,
where we're making up time.
they're going to have to do something, right, to be able to squeeze in 22. So yeah, I guess you cut the summer break a little bit, which
That would do it.
yeah, the
That-
teams aren't
that-
going to get much of a break anyway.
No, especially next year.
Back
Back to the race.
yeah. One of the things I wanted to bring up, because I particularly enjoyed this, and I know that probably maybe the drivers like Valtteri Bottas in the early stage of the race didn't enjoy this,
That's
but
fantastic.
I love that there was no DRS for a solid 10, 15 laps.
I think
Yeah, it made it more interesting.
much more interesting to see how it kept the field a little closer too. I found. Maybe it's just because it was at the start of the race. I don't know, but it seemed like the battles were kind of there, and it was tough for the Mercedes to overtake. And well, I had an interesting dynamic and see. Like, I would be interested to see how the drivers reacted and what they thought of it. I know Valtteri was like, "Oh, thank God!" when it finally was
It's back.
it was back. He like was loving it because he could actually get a pass done. But it was different. I don't know. How did you guys? You liked it, and Shaker. I mean, it
was
adds
good.
It adds a different perspective, doesn't
Yeah,
it?
no, it really does.
So
The reason why too is because first of all, you don't get those highway passes, right? When you just change
Yeah.
lanes into the fast lane and just coast right by. You actually had to earn it, and that's the biggest problem with the artificial overtaking, whether
Yeah.
it's the DRS or even if you get enough electrical energy from the kinetic recovery system or the energy recovery system. So seeing drivers getting a little sometimes impatient and even trying to overtake before the first hairpin in Sector 1. We saw some overtaking moves trying to be done over there, and then we saw some that didn't work out.
yeah,
You even saw some of the midfield cars being able to hold off the likes of Valtteri Bottas or Vettel in a Ferrari. So I just thought that without the DRS, drivers really had to showcase the best of their overtaking abilities. And we know that we've got some really good overtakers on the track, guys like Carlos Sainz, obviously Daniel Ricciardo, who in my opinion is the best overtaker on the grid.
Well, Valtteri didn't do too bad right at the beginning of the race. I think he made 4 spots right in the first
Yeah.
lap, did he not?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, that's
I
right.
included it with the crash.
yeah.
Lance Stroll and Pierre Gasly, I believe.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yeah, because
Those are the
Gasly's
two?
race was ruined after
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
That was due to his pit stop, though, not for
Yeah.
his-
Right, but I mean, it definitely
I
didn't
guess
help.
it does.
He was pretty pissed at Stroll.
Was he?
Oh yeah, he was just like, Stroll. It's always the same thing with him.
Well,
Those pay drivers always, you know.
I mean, Roman had a great time with the Williams this weekend, apparently. So, he was just racing by them the entire weekend.
Oh, Romain Grosjean.
Grosjean? Just
Well, he had the crash with
Valtteri.
Valtteri in the practice, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
which is really strange. There was actually just one today, because obviously the tire test is going on.
Oh, was there a crash today?
It was Perez and Vettel actually. Vettel spun even in testing. He spun.
Spinning everywhere.
They had a
Oh my
little
God.
contact. So yeah.
So, that just shows you how the next season's going to go.
Well, maybe Pirelli needed a durability test after what happened the debacle in Brazil with the tire exploding on sudden touch. They needed a Perez to try hit Vettel again and see if the tires would explode.
Or Vettel's just trying to get the spins out of him before the end of the year.
Maybe get them all out while you can.
Yeah, start fresh in 2020.
Yeah, Esteban Ocon was in.
Yes, he
was there.
he was
Yeah.
I
in
liked his
Renault.
little sticker that he had on his hat.
I'm the new guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, first day for him. Yeah, that's going to be exciting to talk about that next year with Esteban coming in. But
Only
Yeah.
one new driver too next year with Nicholas Latifi being official.
Right.
Announced into Williams.
Yeah,
Of
that's
course,
true.
we speculated on our preview podcast that this would happen. It was news that everyone knew but wasn't official yet. And after our podcast released, as usual, Nicholas Latifi officially signed for Williams, so he will be in the seat, which makes 2 Canadians on the grid.
yeah, well, not only that news too, but also Bottas's engine penalty was announced after that.
Right,
when I
that's
had
true.
predicted that he won the race. So
That's true.
it did seem pretty stupid if you guys were watching that episode going, look at these morons.
Yeah.
He has an engine penalty. But we didn't know at the time because we record plenty of days in advance.
Yes.
But yeah, just wrapping up, let us know what you thought during the no DRS zone of the race. I found it very exciting, and hopefully the FIA will look at that considering the 2021 rules, whether they want to keep DRS in or not. So yeah, I thought it was fun. But I guess just on the topic, because you brought up Nicholas Latifi, let's chat a little bit about him.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's big news for us, too, because like you mentioned, another Canadian on the grid. It hasn't happened since 1981, when I believe there was 2 Villeneuves on the grid.
There's 2 Villeneuves.
So, I mean, really, there hasn't been a whole lot of Canadian F1 drivers just in a whole. So to have 2 on the grid is very big for Canadian racing fans and athletes in general. Because when you look at, let's say, for example, somebody like Brazil who doesn't have any drivers on the grid currently, I think one of you guys were talking about that last week.
Yeah.
There's only going to be, I believe, 1 German driver now next year.
Yeah, I was going to go through this to see where Canada ranks. So obviously Great Britain is in the lead with 3/4 if you want to count.
No, what about
Albon.
France?
France does have 3 as well. You're right. With,
I know Monaco's not part of France.
Well, Monaco could be part of Italy too, though. If you really.
Yeah, I guess
Technically, Grosjean's Swiss.
Oh, really?
'Cause that's where he was born.
Oh, well, it's not on here, so.
So who's the third French driver? Then there's Pierre Gasly. There's Romain Grosjean. So who's the third one?
Esteban Ocon next year.
Right. I always think he's Spanish for some reason.
Yeah. Okay.
He does it, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I could see that, yeah.
That's fair. And Spanish has such great racers. Only one Spaniard on the grid next year. As I mentioned, with Great Britain, technically England, Great Britain, whatever you want to say. 3/4. I know Albon is English, but racing under the Thai flag because of his parents.
He's totally
his family.
He's
But
100%
yes,
British.
very British. And yeah, that's those
2 Finns.
2 Finns. That's it, and then 2 Canadians. So you think
One
of all
Russian.
these power.
Yeah.
1 Russian, yes. You think of all these powerhouses in terms of motorsport. Like Italy and Canada is up there with the drivers, which is kind of interesting because it's never really happened before.
No, it's very new territory for us. Even when Lance Stroll first entered, it was like finally. It was a
Yeah.
long time before. It was obviously Jacques Villeneuve before that, but I think it was about 10 or 12 years before we actually had one
Yeah.
on the grid. So yeah, it's very exciting for us. So we'll be talking a lot more about it, and hopefully we'll even try and get an interview with Nicholas Latifi as well.
Fingers crossed.
We know the areas in which he lives, and it's relatively close to us. So
We
maybe
know
we
the
can work
city,
something
not
out.
the area. We're not
Right, yeah.
We're not creepy.
Yeah.
You're not creepy.
Let me reword that. We Wikipedia him and we found out where his hometown is. So we'll see if we can get something for you guys along that route. But yeah, it should be interesting what he can do in Williams now that Williams has 2 young drivers in the seat. Obviously, Kubica had his struggles at Williams this year, but it was a good comeback nonetheless. But now Williams can kind of focus a little bit more on the future, and they have a really good driver pairing, in my opinion.
Yeah, a fantastic driver
Yeah, very
pairing.
young driver pairing.
They just need the car to perform now.
Yeah.
They need to start having that car making the comeback at be Williams that whatever knows Williams to
The
be.
goal is
Yeah.
to get 2 points.
2.
Or to get the car out in time for testing. That would be
Yeah,
nice.
that'd
That
be
would be a
nice.
start.
That
That'd
would
be a
be
good start. Or to not be a second slower than everyone else.
Right.
Yeah.
Be somewhat relevant.
Exactly. I just didn't. I hated all the people that went right away to the pay driver comments because obviously Nicholas Latifi has a father who's very successful. He's a rich businessman as well as Lawrence Stroll is. So the connection was made there, and he's got good sponsors that he brings into the team. So yes, absolutely, he brings in a decent amount of money to the Williams team. But I think Nicholas Latifi is fully deserving of a seat in Williams, and it's not because of his financial status or who he knows. He's a very talented driver, and he's young, but he's not that young.
He's
I believe.
22, I believe.
24.
I think he's even older.
24?
He's 24. Yeah.
Oh, my bad.
So 24 years old. He actually didn't start karting until he was around 13 years old. So he got a fairly late start compared to some of these other drivers. But he's paid his dues in F2. He was a championship contender this year, won multiple races on podium, pole positions as well. So he's proven that he can fight at the top. And it's different, right? Like Lance Stroll came from F3 straight to F1. He was 17, 18 at the time. So I can kind of understand why people were a little bit upset there and making the pay driver remarks. But I just don't think that Nicholas Latifi is deserving of that.
Yeah, I agree with you.
I think he's got a very, very mature young man, and I think he's got a lot of skill and a lot of talent, and he's paid his dues. He's put in a lot of work. Not to say that Lance Stroll hasn't, because he has as well, but I just think that there's that negative connotation that well, just because he has money, he got the seat. Like, no, he deserves the seat fully.
Mm-hmm.
No, 100%. Second in the F2 Drivers' Championship this season, which is no shrug of an accomplishment. It's very impressive. And he won, was it 4 races?
Yeah, I believe so.
I think it was 4 total this season in F2, which is, again, fantastic for him. And hopefully that can lead him to... We're having a good working relationship with Mr. Russell over at Williams, and they can get back to...
I mean, George Russell seems like a nice guy.
Yeah, it does seem like a nice guy.
It doesn't really seem like he has too much of an attitude. I feel like they're going to get along.
I don't think we heard too much of him.
Yeah.
I think he was just kind of going along with the season because, well...
You fly under the radar.
The only thing we heard was typical Roman at Singapore.
That's true.
That's the only thing we heard.
Yeah. No, he's been great this year. And like, I agree with you guys. I hope that the car will be a lot better. And
George Russell also the only driver on the grid to out-qualify his teammate 21-0.
Yeah. I mean, what more can you say?
Yeah. So that's pretty impressive by Mr. Russell.
Yeah, absolutely. Another interesting qualifying battle is that Lando Norris just beat Carlos Sainz 11-10. That was the closest battle between any of the teammates. So impressive for Lando Norris in his rookie season. We'll get a little bit more into all that detail in our season review. We won't kind of like break down the drivers in terms of that. We'll do that all then. So we'll try and stick to just Abu Dhabi. We're really trying, guys. We're trying to pull things from this race here. One of the things that I can pull from this...
great defender from Albon.
Yes.
That was one.
That's true. It's okay. Punched my microphone.
You wanted to
so
get it out
excited
before you
about that
forget.
Albon.
I was, he didn't get a podium, so I got to make up for it.
I know. I had him on the podium too.
Oh, he was well. He should have had it in Brazil. Thanks, Lewis.
Yeah, Lewis. Always Lewis's fault.
Yeah.
But then we wouldn't have Sainz on the podium.
True.
So,
yeah. Or Pierre Gasly.
Or
Well,
Pierre-
maybe Pierre
Gasly
Gasly.
may have been there. But what were we talking about? Oh yeah, Albon defending. Yes, fantastic.
Yeah,
Did a really good job. It was borderline, but it was good. Hard racing. I
Good
like
on
it.
Vettel for playing it safe too,
Yeah.
not being very aggressive going in the corner.
Well, maybe he thought it was Max going in the corner. I was like, oh, hold on here.
Couldn't see the number.
Yeah.
it was well done by him. I think that was pretty much the only thing.
Yeah, I think it was a fair move. A good hard racing. Vettel ended up getting by him on the next straight, I believe. So
Good racing between Charles Leclerc and Max.
Yeah, that was my one
Yeah.
highlight. Max Verstappen with is he not the best driver in terms of like dealing with car issues? Remember in Austria when he was complaining of no power?
I think he just says it.
I don't
at
know.
This point.
Like,
He's just like, there's an issue.
but they had issues. They had some throttle issues, and he was complaining with the engine braking. He was complaining the same thing at this race last year, so I don't know if it's circuit specific, but yeah, he was complaining about it, and then boom, he just launches it on the inside of Leclerc.
But sometimes I've heard it's delayed, right? Because in case they swear or anything like that. So that might have been from like a few laps ago, and then the moment they started to play it, that happened.
That's a good point. Yeah. But it just doesn't seem like it really affects him that much.
Yeah.
He just drives through it, or he drives around it, or like you said, maybe it's just kind of just talk. It's just frustration, and the guys on the pit board are handling it.
Oh yeah, like we have some good engineers to tell him exactly what to do and what settings to go to.
Christian Horner is also very calming. Like
That's
whenever
true.
you listen to him, he's a very calming in terms of a team principle and just has all his ducks in a row all the time.
Yeah.
Well, Max's race engineer, Giampiero Lambiasi, I hope I'm pronouncing that last name correctly. He's probably one of the best race engineers on the whole grid. With the relationship that they have together, if you guys ever have a chance to listen to some extended radio up on YouTube, it's really interesting to hear, and they've got an excellent communication. And like you said, he knows when to calm him down.
Yeah.
Like remember in Austin when he lets him know that the lap was deleted because of track limits, and right away he's like, just don't say anything. I know what you're going to say. He doesn't want him to get in trouble. So that driver-engineer relationship is really important.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, well, I mean, we saw it with Lando Norris and Jarve this weekend.
I thought his race engineer was the other guy, Will.
Jarve was he is behind the scenes. He's not the. I don't think he's
Apparently, he has him in his ear a lot.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Like they are in communication. A lot.
Yeah, because he even put a picture of Jarve on his helmet.
Yes.
Yeah, that was
fantastic.
cool. And he got to keep the helmet too.
Yeah,
which is
he was
great.
gifted to him afterwards. But
Yeah.
Are you crying?
Yeah.
So you guys see? Well, did you guys see the video or the pre-race what they were doing?
Yeah.
With what is it? I forget how it started, but it was like and something about shoes. They're talking about shoes.
Yeah.
And then Jarv went off to list what all the people are on for tire wise. The Willies. The Willies are on hards.
I've never heard it talk. I never heard them talk like that before.
Oh, it's fantastic. I loved it. But
thank you for the most coherent. What did he say towards the end?
I think he was like, "Thanks for all the detailed information" or something.
Oh yeah. And he laughed, as Lando always does.
Well, it's because the thing is like the way his engineer phrased it, right? He's like, "Oh, like Ricardo on the softs, the Toro Rosso
The Willies are going hard."
Well,
yeah, or he's like, Kubica's got the hard on or something.
Yeah, no, some of the two Willies are hard or something like that.
Yeah. No, I think that's exactly what it was.
Yeah. I mean, like Lando is only 20 years old, so he still finds the humor in that kind of.
I mean, I'm 25 and I still find the humor.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean, right? I don't think. Even Vettel made a kind of joke like that last year at Brazil. So yeah,
that's right, he did.
Everybody's got that good sense of humor.
Well, it was about him and his last year in Brazil. Vettel was about, I got something dangling down below by my feet or something loose my feet.
It's not what you think.
Not what you think it is. Although I would lead to believe that. Oh my god, it's funny.
Yeah.
That's Vettel in better spirits back then. He wouldn't make that joke in 2019.
Yeah, he couldn't wait to go home after this race. Well, he also just had the birth of his third child.
That's right.
Oh, wow.
So congratulations.
Yeah.
He didn't really want to be there, so.
Don't blame him, child.
I mean, Daniel Kvyat won a race after he had a child, so.
You mean on the podium?
He was on the
podium. Sorry, yes. Not win a race.
Well, it did feel like he won the race.
Oh, for
in my eyes.
For sure.
Yeah.
No, that was very interesting as well, to see the comparison and how Vettel is toned back, especially the later parts of this year. Ever since Canada, everything's toned back. So,
yeah, I think a break would be really good for him.
Well, it's not toned back when Charles runs into him or he runs into Charles.
Oh, it's just come on. That's all he does now.
Yeah, I think it's just. I would agree. Like after the punch in the gut in Canada, it was just like, what's the point?
Yeah,
we're not going to win the championship this year. So if we happen to win a race, fine. Wish he did. But there wasn't anything really to grasp from it. He's at the point in his career where he's not interested in anything but fighting for a championship.
Yeah.
So not being able to do that this year was just kind of almost like a disinterest for him. Don't think he's going to retire, obviously.
No,
he'll be back for next year, but...
he's confirmed back for next year.
Yeah. I think much like what we said last year at the end of the season, he could use the break, so hopefully he can start 2020 off on a good note.
Do you want to mention the fantastic last lap that there was at the Abu Dhabi? If there was any lap that was must watch,
Ricardo and Hulkenberg.
Yeah, fantastic battle in the last lap between those three drivers, with Sainz going up the inside in the third sector to snag 10th place away from Nico Hulkenberg in his last race, but will also grab, with that point that he got in 10th place, P6 in the Drivers' Championship in the standings.
Confirm, yeah.
Best of the rest.
Yeah, better than the two Red Bull drivers, Gasly and Albon.
Yes, you're right.
3 Red Bull drivers, including Gasly.
Well, I just I guess including Kvyat in there, but. Fantastic by Carlos Sainz to grab the points and to officially be ahead and grab himself a nice 6th place in the driver's standings.
Yeah, and he just on his own outscored a lot of teams, constructors behind him, the likes of Alfa. Yeah, well,
that's a given.
I could outscore them. Likes of Alfa Romeo, Racing Point, Toro Rosso, Renault, I think as well. So yeah, super happy for Carlos Sainz. It'll be really interesting for you guys to see where we rank him in our 2019 season power rankings, because I think he'll be up there really, really high.
I think he was even surprised with this last lap.
Oh, he was like, "Did you see that move?
Yeah,
did you see that?"
Well, it was really good. It was good.
It was fantastic.
It was a great move.
Who was? I think it was. Was it also Lando Norris on Sergio Perez?
No, Perez on Norris.
Or was it Perez on Norris?
Yeah. And then
Perez
I think
was fantastic there.
And then
as well.
Daniel Ricciardo was right behind him as he was overtaking Hulkenberg as well, right? So he also had that on his tail.
Yeah,
because Perez was the same. He's like, "Mate, did you see that?"
Yeah, he said it was the best move he's ever done. Which, like, I thought Perez has done nicer, but maybe it was just being in the car and the whole driving aspect. Maybe it felt the best out of all his overtakes. It was a fantastic overtake
maybe it
by
felt
Perez.
the cleanest.
Yeah,
maybe that's being in the car. Maybe that's how he felt.
Maybe for sure. Do we should give maybe a moment of silence? I think though, for Nico Hulkenberg because this is just heartbreaking for him. He doesn't get points on the last lap in his final race in F1 for now. We all think he should be on the F1 grid. I think he can make it on the podium if he has a car that performs.
So you don't think he's overrated?
Not at all. I think he's underrated.
Oh, okay.
I think he's underrated. Anyways, I love Nico Hulkenberg. You got driver of the day, which is a nice touch by all the fans. So just maybe a 2.7 second moment of silence for Nico Hulkenberg, please.
2.7. What is that? A
27 is his
McLaren
number.
pit stop?
No, his race number 27.
Oh, sorry. Brain's
Got
not
you.
working.
Thanks, Shaker. Thanks, Shaker. Okay.
And
I think that was 2.7.
It's probably longer, yeah.
It was close. I was trying to time it in my head.
There's maybe like a 5-second stop.
You know what's
go
funny? We're
penalty.
doing this in the 27th minute of our recording.
Wow,
We did not plan
we
that.
did not plan that at all. But
I mean, once you put this out, it's probably going to be a different time. But in our recording,
that's
it's
true. In our
27
recording,
minutes.
yeah.
Hey, it counts. It
Does
counts.
count. So Nico Hulkenberg, hopefully he's back in the 2021 season, and hopefully there's some, there's more teams on the grid too in 2021. But
The number 27 is a legendary number in F1 as well. Isn't it? I
yeah,
think that was-
Jacques Villeneuve raced it.
I think it was Gilles. His
Was it
father's?
Gilles?
I
Yeah.
believe it was his father's number.
I knew it was one of the two.
Yeah, I think I remember Crofty mentioning that.
Yeah,
in the
27
last
is
week.
definitely legendary in Canada in
Yeah.
terms of
Right.
numbers.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very disappointing. I've always liked Nico Hulkenberg, and I don't necessarily think that he's overrated. I think that he has had some chances that he's bottled.
I think Germany was the one who'll look back this year on having that crash because he could have got a podium in Germany.
Yeah.
I think Brazil 2012 also, where
Yeah.
he was leading the race, and then he got pole earlier, I believe, with the
Yeah.
Williams a few years before. But yeah, crashed into Hamilton. That to me was probably his biggest missed opportunity.
Yeah, that's a good one too.
Germany as well too. We never know what would have happened though had he put the car on the track. Maybe he would have lost out in terms of pit stops or what
Maybe.
have you. But yeah, I think Germany was a big one from this season where he could have gotten one. Singapore, obviously, in 2017 as well, where he was running in the podium positions after the big crash with the Ferraris and the Red Bulls, and he had to retire because of an issue. So that's kind of the comparison there. It's sometimes he's made mistakes, but then other times he's just had some really bad luck.
Yeah.
I think F1 released a YouTube video on their channel, top 5 Nico Hulkenberg moments. It's a good watch.
But the reason why I laugh is because they put in like the times when he crashed in Brazil.
Yeah,
It's
you
like, why
put
don't
those-
you put like his best moments? If it's only 5, put a top 5.
Yeah,
Why do you got to put the negative ones in
Yeah,
there?
yeah.
You know
Top
what I
5
mean?
memorable moments,
Maybe.
I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, but
Not memorable for Nico, maybe. Memorable for other people.
yeah. But hopefully he'll be back within another couple of years. He's still young, so I
I think
think.
27, 28.
No, I think he's older than that
Older
now.
than that, 30 something now?
I'll let me look it up right here. But I think that, like you said, if we have more teams on the grid, then there'll be
Oh,
space
yeah.
for.
And we can get into that in our season review and maybe 2020 season preview when that comes down the line and when we talk about 2021. But we've been saying it on this podcast since it started on how we need at least 2 more teams on the grid because 24 cars was perfect. Just had the right amount of drivers because there are 2, 3, 4 drivers that you can name right off the top of your head that could be in an F1 seat right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Nico Hulkenberg is 32.
32.
That's really young in terms of racing.
Yeah, it's decently young, yeah.
I mean, Kimmy's 40.
Kimmy is 40, you're right.
So, yeah, I wouldn't worry too much about it if I'm Hulkenberg.
I forget what I was
Okay. But hopefully we see Hulkenberg back with some more teams in the grid back in 2021. Moving on, I got Robert Kubica, his last race in Formula 1 as well.
Is he still going to be continuing racing in something else, or is he?
I don't know what his plan is.
He's looking at some DTM drives, and I think that he's going to be the reserve driver for Haas and also
Okay.
like a sim test driver
Right.
for them. I think he's still looking in 2021 to be on the grid.
Okay.
Again,
from
more
what I
teams would
understand, yeah.
make that a lot better.
Yeah, for sure.
But not a memorable season. It was great to see him come back from his injuries and everything to be on the F1 grid. And I think it's a story that F1 needed going to that season. It was a story William needed going to the season. but not for the greatest season, of course, for him and for Williams. And as we mentioned earlier in the podcast, being shut out in terms of qualifying battles with his teammate George Russell, 21-0. That doesn't look that great either. So tough season for Robert, but we wish him the best in his future, and hopefully he continues to have great success in his career.
Yeah.
And one small consolation, he did score the only point for Williams this year.
That's true.
Yeah.
He did finish above George Russell in the driver's standings.
Yeah, and I
So
think
there's that.
one of his best races of the year, Monaco. Obviously, I think he finished 15th or 16th, something like
Wasn't
that.
that Monaco? That was when he crashed, was it not?
No, that was in Baku when he crashed in qualifying, I believe it was.
No, I thought Monaco got spun in the race in the
I
last
felt
corner.
like no, maybe I'm thinking of Singapore.
I think you're thinking of
Yeah,
Singapore.
Singapore. Excuse
Yeah,
me, because
no,
I'm
he
thinking
got-
of a street race.
Yeah.
Singapore was I think he even said it himself, was his best drive of the year. So I think that with the limitations that he had, he proved to everybody that he could do it.
Yep.
Obviously, like you said, difficult with the car to judge. Yes, his teammate did beat him, but Robert Kubica always was and still will be a world-class driver.
Absolutely, yeah.
And, there's no reason to hate on the guy. I mean, he almost died in that rally accident.
Yeah.
So the fact that was even returned to F1 when
Phenomenal.
we've got all these young guys coming up and world champions on the grid is phenomenal. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. So hopefully we'll see Robert in the F1 paddock next year, and hopefully with the drive maybe in the next season or two.
Yeah, hopefully. Shall we wrap it up with some donuts?
Yeah. Well, one of the other things too, just before,
I don't have donuts.
but you got coffee.
You have coffee.
We got one half
This
of
is
it,
our
right?
donut shop in Canada.
Tim Hortons represent.
Yeah.
There's some stores in the U.S. now too.
Is there? That's
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah, plenty of stores in the U.S.
Good
so,
for them.
Yeah, sorry, you were
Donuts.
talking about donuts.
Yes. You said before that, though.
Go with your donuts. I can
Okay.
save it.
Okay, fair enough. Nice to see some donuts at the end of the season, isn't it?
Some pretty good donuts too.
They did a good job. I mean, Lewis did some donuts in Mexico?
I feel like Charles Leclerc
No,
does
In
just
Brazil.
Brazil. That's right. Brazil.
I felt like Charles Leclerc was doing donuts for the first time though.
Oh, he was horrible.
No, he was really bad.
Charles Leclerc was like, that's what it would look like if you did donuts with like a front wheel drive car.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
But, I
brutal.
mean, he did his best.
he did. He did. I mean,
Um,
donuts always look cool. You could if you.
Yeah, they do. Especially in F1 car, you don't see it often. Usually at festivals,
Yeah.
but not on a racetrack because transmission and,
Yeah.
and different specs and everything like that, and motor. But at the end of the season, they said they could screw it, and yeah, it was. I would love to see some donuts. The cloud, they made a nice cloud of smoke too. It was very nice.
Lewis did some last week.
Yeah, in
race,
Brazil,
didn't he?
yeah, he did a
do
little
some in
bit.
Brazil,
But,
yeah.
like, who cares at that point?
Yeah.
I'm surprised Valtteri didn't. They needed to burn that engine somehow.
Yeah, yeah, they got plenty of miles to go.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's always neat. Like
Maybe
I
they'll
said,
put it in his road car.
Oh, jeez. Could you imagine?
he could use it as a coffee table.
Yeah.
They sell those now. So
Yeah, I want one.
you got like 50 grand.
No, I'll make my own.
Okay,
Buy a V8.
yeah, take it out of your car.
Out a V8 of a
Yeah.
car.
Yeah, I always liked watching the end of race when there's not a title on the line and
Yeah.
everybody's in a good mood and it's relaxed. It's as much as I love to watch the final race come down win the championship, it's also nice to see this side of it.
Yeah.
So that was cool.
Some really nice fireworks too.
So
Yeah,
one thing I did want to mention: did you guys see the after the race when they asked Lewis Hamilton why he was meeting with Ferrari?
No.
I did hear that Ferrari said
Apparently-
good things about him.
Yeah, apparently he met with the owners of Ferrari behind closed doors, and he's like, "Oh, like the rumor always flies, but." He's like, "Oh, I never thought I would be sticking with the team for so long or doing this. So, it's something I've talked about. It's nothing that's anything serious or anything like that."
Let's make it serious here.
I am so glad you brought this up.
I don't see it happening.
I don't either. I personally don't either.
Oh,
You do?
I highly disagree.
You see it happening?
You
Where,
see it
like,
happening?
Him and Vettel switching? A trade?
Maybe, possibly,
A trade.
but yeah, because we could see Vettel as a German go to a German team. I think that would be great for them.
But they're a German engine maker. They're still a UK-based team, aren't they?
Correct, but I mean,
Yes.
in terms of
Right?
Mercedes, as yeah.
Okay,
oh, yeah.
I just wanted to
Brackley,
confirm. I
yeah.
was
Yeah, but in terms of Mercedes as the brand,
And
it's
they
very
play
German.
the German anthem at the end of the
Oh,
race.
do they actually?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
When Nico Rosberg was there, obviously he was, very, very much a part of that team and the identity of that team because he was German as well. But I absolutely think that Lewis Hamilton will go to Ferrari in 2021. I believe when the contract ends, this is next season. Toto Wolff said it's 75% likely that he'll stay, but that means that that's 100% likely that he won't as well. Because
Interesting.
I think that he should go. Because
I thought Vettel wanted to win a championship with Ferrari.
Well, he does.
he does, but Ferrari also wants to win a championship, and they might just look at Vettel, say, "Hey, man, you weren't able to do it, so we've got a 6-time world champion, or possibly 7 at the time, world champion driver, and we want him on our team."
We should. This is just a spitball thing.
I thought, yeah.
But for our 2020 race preview or something like that, or maybe just an off-content video in the wintertime, we should predict the 2020 the 2021 driver list.
Yeah,
That'd
we
be fun.
should.
Would you guys like to see that? So us predict the 2021 driver list. Not including new teams that might come in, but that kind of sort of thing. Might be interesting. Let us know if you like that idea.
Because when I look at it, he's won 5 world titles with Mercedes, could possibly another one in 2020. So he might just look at it and say, okay, I still want to drive in Formula One. I've won everything that I possibly could with Mercedes. I've had a great couple of years. Now I want a fresh challenge.
Yeah.
Now I need something new, something that's going to get me up in the morning, something that's going to motivate me even more.
I was going to say, you don't think if they get rid of Lewis Hamilton, they wouldn't bring in somebody like Max Verstappen or Charles Leclerc, who are young drivers?
Yeah. Oh, no, they absolutely would
100%.
because Verstappen is the biggest X factor here because we're not sure of Honda's commitment past 2021. They've only committed to 2021.
Yeah.
So Max is going to be looking at his options. And if that seat is open, they can either slide in Verstappen or possibly Vettel if he's still around and still wants to drive. But
George Russell
is a Mercedes driver as well. They might want to reach out to Esteban Ocon again. Relationship is still...
Renault's going to be a world champion 2021.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Relax there.
That's what the plan says.
Yeah, that's what the books...
But if you think about it, with McLaren, will also have a Mercedes car as well.
That's
working
true.
with Mercedes again in 2021. So there's also another option there with the success that they had with Mercedes.
Too much happening in my brain.
So I just think, why not? You go there, you win.
Do you not think it ruins his reputation being the X factor for Mercedes and being the guy that brought them to glory?
Driving for Mercedes his entire career?
Well, he was with McLaren,
but they were under Mercedes. Yeah.
So yeah, fair enough.
No, I wouldn't say it would ruin it for him. I just think that Ferrari's that team that attracts some of the greatest drivers ever, right? I mean, we've had Schumacher that's been there. We've had Vettel that's been there. We just talked about Villeneuve a couple of times in the previous episodes, Niki Lauda. So, why not? Ferrari has always had that lure in the sport that a team like Mercedes, with all due respect to them, don't have. And it's a big challenge, right? It's a big culture shock for Lewis Hamilton. I think that might be the interesting part is, would they be able to gel together? Because I don't think that the Ferrari-based team works as well as Mercedes do. But it's a challenge, right? And sometimes when you get these elite guys who just win and win all the time, they don't necessarily get bored of winning, but they look for more challenges. And Lewis Hamilton is that type of guy that looks for the biggest challenge and looks to prove everybody wrong. So there's people out there that are saying, you'll never drive for Ferrari or you won't fit in there.
Well, you mentioned Niki Lauda. The main reason Vettel wants to win a championship with Ferrari is because Michael Schumacher had one.
Right.
And why would he not want to win one with Ferrari if Niki Lauda, who is, his idol, if he won one?
And
why would he not want to do the same,
Wouldn't that just be the perfect bow on the greatest career ever in Formula One? To move to Ferrari, beat Schumacher's world championship record, every record that he's owned in a Ferrari.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're putting up
that
narratives
that
there.
would shut those haters up, me being one of them.
Lewis, I don't know if you got an agent, buddy, but I'm setting this up for you.
Haas F1 2021. They're a Ferrari team. He never said it was a Ferrari. He never said it was the Ferrari Mark car.
Never mind.
They've got a Ferrari engine, Haas.
Yeah.
They want you.
So,
would
who
Mercedes let Lewis Hamilton go, knowing all that he knows from Mercedes to Ferrari?
Well, in 2021, there's new regulations, though.
That's true.
They won't have a choice, though. If his contract is over, he can go do whatever he wants. But it's exactly, you guys bring up the good point that the regulations will change, and who knows? I mean, we've seen big regulation changes affect teams.
Mercedes.
Exactly.
Mercedes. They were, what, Did they even have a podium before? Did Rosberg get a podium or Schumacher get
They
a podium?
had a race win here and there
Yeah.
in 2013 and some poles and the podiums, but certainly not to the level they're at now.
No,
Yeah.
not even close.
So that you bring up an
Again,
excellent point again.
Haas
yeah.
F1 could.
Okay.
I'm just saying.
I'm trying to stick it on this path here.
just saying. Haas F1 could be a world champion if they develop right.
And
AlphaTauri
yeah,
could.
I was about to say Renault, but Lewis Hamilton is also the king of career moves.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
McLaren, right, wins a world championship second season, moves to Mercedes, then wins 5 world championships with them.
Yeah,
So
wherever he goes, someone wins.
what if the timing is perfect where 2021 Ferrari ends up having a dominant car and then we see Lewis win another handful of world championships?
Yeah. Well, that's a good talking point.
Yeah.
Let us know what you think in the comments below. Go crazy in the comments. Do you think Lewis Hamilton will drive for Ferrari in his career?
I think it'd be cool.
It'd be cool. That actually is a great word for it. It's simple, but it would be cool.
I used to think that there was no chance in hell it would happen, and now I look at it and go, you know what? There's a good chance it could
Yeah,
happen.
I think getting that 6th world championship, it kind of leaves a door open like for his career to go in many different ways. Because what is he gonna do if he does decide to retire? You know, after 2020, like he's gonna be tied with Michael Schumacher when
Yeah.
he could have 100% had the chance to break that record.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Because I think when you look at like other sports, when you have fighters who are so dominant in one weight class, and it's not that they get bored of winning, like I said, but they look for new challenges. So
Yeah.
they move up a weight class or they go to a completely different, dynamic in the sport. So
are
they
you talking about Conor McGregor because he's coming back to UFC?
that's one of them. Yeah. I was also thinking like John Jones, for example.
Yeah, that's true.
Who's
Well, yeah, but-
dominated his division and is now looking to move
Yeah,
up.
but other athletes actually fight when it comes to the day.
Right. What are you trying to say?
They're not doing cocaine, is what.
That was a long time ago, bro.
DUI.
Yeah. Yeah, that too. But you see the point. So
Yeah, I get it.
who knows? Who knows? We're just spitballing here, right?
That would be very interesting.
It would be cool.
Yeah. Interesting to talk about. But yeah, in terms of the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix,
Right, Abu Dhabi.
we
Yeah.
ain't got much for you.
Thanks
I
for
was
hosting
from the
us.
Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. That was the biggest talking
That's
point.
true.
right
That is
there.
the biggest talking point for
Yeah.
the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. You're right.
It really should not be the season finale. Brazil should be the season finale.
Yeah.
Well, apparently they're going to redo there's a bid for a new track in Brazil. It'll be happening in Sao Paulo, I believe, or where they are right now.
They're in Sao Paulo right now.
Sorry,
looking
it'd
at
be
Rio.
in Rio. Sorry,
Yeah.
it'd be in Rio. I got the two mixed up.
Would it be a street race?
It'd be a brand new circuit they'd be making, which
Street race would be really cool.
it would suck if they put a new track down there, because that track's perfect. But they're gonna make
Yeah.
it a cookie cutter track like they have the rest of them. And it's gonna be awful.
But how does
so
this
hopefully that
affect
doesn't
the
happen.
Amazon rainforest? Is what I want to know.
It could. You're right. It could.
Who knows?
Who knows?
They got the track though there, so I don't see
I
why
don't
you
know.
need
Yeah,
a
I
new
don't
one.
see why you need a
don't
new one.
The track's perfect the way it is.
Yeah.
Everyone loves Interlagos.
Yeah. Don't change what works.
Yeah.
Please change the other tracks like Yas Marina.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or France.
Yes.
I don't mind-
They're looking to make changes there too.
Yeah.
Good.
Actually, since we're talking about tracks and changes, Zandvoort is under construction.
Yep.
To get some improvements for next year's race, mostly track widening.
Yeah. On the
which-
banking, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're hoping for more overtakes and stuff at this track, right?
Which,
Because
yes.
it's one of those tracks that if you have pole position, you're,
You're
going to
gonna
be
win.
winning. Yeah.
Yeah, so they're expanding the width of the track, and hopefully that will help in 2020. We'll see.
Yeah.
There's some cool pictures if you go online and look up the construction that's going on there. If you're a track junkie.
Yeah, it's on the F1. They tweeted out a video. I think there's some more detailed stuff in there as well. So, yeah, very excited for that race next year. The only last thing for me that I wanted to bring up was Daniel Ricciardo going on a helmet swapping spree after the race. He did.
I didn't watch any of the post race.
Yeah, I know. I just saw pictures on with him on believe it was on Twitter. He did a helmet swap with Nico Hulkenberg. He did one with Max Verstappen, and then did one with Charles Leclerc.
How many helmets did he have? Did
Quite a few.
Did you just switch helmets during the Grand Prix or what?
I think they have like probably 3 or 4 during the weekend.
Oh, probably.
Because somebody was saying that instead of, for example, like or the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix where they have like night and day practice sessions and qualifying and race, instead of changing out the visors, they'll just have a new helmet with that visor on it.
That makes
sense. Yeah.
Yeah, so they probably have like 4 or 5 spare helmets just lying around, and yeah.
And if you're that rich too, you can just have a different helmet for every practice session, so it's not
Yeah,
sweaty.
exactly. I don't
True.
think it's a big deal for them.
No,
so.
not at all.
But he also put on Nico Hulkenberg's hair.
Yeah, he did.
He got a bright blonde wig, and
I
he
love
got,
it.
like the one and it was spiked up, and he wore it and took a picture with Nico.
Yeah.
Very Danny Rick.
Yeah, he's a great teammate.
I know, eh?
Great guy.
What a good guy.
Well, it's you know he's a
deserves a
great
world
teammate because
championship.
like half the time you see Max Verstappen talking to him
Yeah.
after a race.
Yeah.
Like
Well, it shows you how good friends they actually
Yeah.
are. Like, even though they crashed into each other a couple times and it got pretty tense, like the camaraderie they have is legit. It's not just
One of my favorite interviews or post-race interviews was still Max Verstappen interviewing
Daniel.
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah, that might be in our funniest moments of the year.
Yeah.
At the end of the year for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think that about
That
does it.
for Yas Marina. We got
21
47
races.
minutes out of Yas Marina.
Well, I think it's like 13 minutes
Yeah.
of actually Abu Dhabi Grand Prix,
That's
and then
fair.
the rest is just playing fantasy F1 in our heads.
It was not good. I was
It's
gonna,
all right race.
I was gonna have a pun here, but it was really bad, so I'm just not gonna say it.
Like, just like the race.
It's that time. I think we should get out of here. You got to
Yeah,
get up
we-
like 3 hours from now,
Yeah.
don't you?
Me? 3 hours, yes. No, not that long. Soon.
Sleep
Close
in
enough.
3
though.
hours.
So, yeah,
Gotta sleep too.
yeah. Those morning shifts are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're rough. Oh well. What can
yeah.
you do?
You're a trooper. You've hung on for.
F1 has trained me to wake up early to watch races.
True. That's right.
It's trained me to wake up early.
Yeah. Yeah.
Tough North America schedule.
Eastern time zone, man.
Yeah,
it's a
it's tough.
killer.
It's true.
But we made it. We definitely made it. I think we did a race recap for every single race
Yep,
this year, if I'm
we
not
did.
mistaken. I know we missed 2 or 3 previews here and there, but
Yeah, we made all the recaps.
yeah, like whether it was a combination of all 3 of us or just me and Shaker or you and Tyler, you and Shaker, we did them all. So very happy with that. And yeah, very happy that you guys joined us through all 21 races this year. We won't really do any of the nostalgic season stuff just yet because we're not done
We're
quite
not
yet.
done yet. No.
No.
The Abu Dhabi test is still going on. It wraps up on Wednesday. Following this, we'll obviously have our season review, which will be coming next week, and then our power rankings as a whole, ranking all the drivers for 2019. And then, yeah, after that, we'll have just some fun little videos to kind of get you guys over the off-season hump until March.
Till March.
Yeah. Anything
Until
else from you guys?
February, really.
Yeah, when testing begins, right? Yeah.
February.
So it's not that long, really.
Yeah. Only 2 months.
2 months.
2
Yep.
months.
Good?
Good.
Yeah.
All right.
Good.
Well, thanks again, everybody. We really appreciate all the support throughout the entire 21 races this season. It's been very long, so we hope you all enjoy what little break that you have from F1, and we hope that you can join us in the next coming weeks. Like I said, we're not going anywhere. Plenty of content to come, so we hope to see you then. Thanks again.